Hi, this is Etienne de la Bouissy with the Art of Liberty Foundation, and I'm coming to you from Sedona, Arizona, where next weekend, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we're going to be producing an event called Liberty on the Rocks Sedona. It will be both a live event and available for live stream. And really the goal is to activate and inspire the liberty movement, not just in Sedona, but all over Arizona. And we're going to be broadcasting it live to kind of show other places how you can start and have a successful, fun, amazing liberty movement like we have here. And so one of the some of the events that will be going on Friday night, we'll be kicking it off with a guided group meditation and sound healing brought to you by the Sedona Quantum Consciousness Center. And then we're going to be having a VIP dinner with the speakers and the artists, for the people that are VIPs and go VIP. And then at 8 o'clock, we're opening it up for a live concert by Grant Presence Elman. And then late night, we're going to have DJ Justin Joy dropping beats as well. And that'll be at the Desert Rose Retreat Center in Cottonwood, Arizona. On Saturday, we're going to be moving to Sedona to the Global Center for Christ Consciousness, where we have a full lineup of speakers and workshops and panels, including Ernest Hancock from Declare Your Independence and Freedom's Phoenix, Larkin Rose, the author of The Most Dangerous Superstition and the filmmaker of the new film, The Jones Plantation. We're going to have Ramiro Romani, the founder of Take Back Your Tech and the CEO of Above Phone, talking about Liberty Solutions. I'm Etienne de la Bouissy, the author of Government, the Biggest Scam in History. And one of our speakers is Tall Paul, who is an expert on status and standing. And so I thought we'd bring Paul in to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what you can expect to hear during his presentation. So welcome and thanks for telling us, everybody, what you're going to be talking about on Saturday.
Thank you much. Well, let's start off by inviting you to go to your wallet or purse and pull out your driver's license. We're going to talk a little bit about this. You've been tricked and the government is using you, so we're trying to educate people and make them aware of what has happened to them over time. Basically, since the Civil War, Lincoln declared martial law and it's never been undeclared. So we've been operating this country since 1863 under a martial law situation. So a lot of the things that you've experienced in your life, you'll find that once you realize the mission and what they've actually been doing, it's like the movie The Matrix, where Morpheus is telling Neo, it isn't what you think it is, it's something totally different. And the Matrix is everywhere. It's all around you. It's when you go to work, when you go to church, when you watch your television, all of these things.
When you pay your taxes.
That's right. Yeah, when you pay your taxes, that's a big bump. So if you take a look at that name on those driver licenses that I invited you to pull out, you'll see that that name is spelled in all capital letters. Well, technically, that is not you. And it started from your birth. So when you were born, when you popped out of mom somewhere on planet Earth in a jurisdiction, and there was a document created and put into the public record. Now, when you put something into the public record, it's no longer private. It means it's accessible to anyone on the planet. So when they put that record of your birth into the public record, government agencies have taken some of the data from that document and created another document, which is a SETI K-VI constructive trust. It's a technical mouthful, but it technically means that they created a contract entity like a corporation, and they named it with a sound that sounds like your name. In other words, if you take a pen and you write your name in upper and lower case, which is a proper noun, That's we were taught in school. You write that down, and then underneath it you write your name in all capital letters. You can definitely see the difference, but speak them. For instance, one of them would be Paul, and the other one would be Paul. So verbally they sound exactly the same, but lawfully and legally they are two different entities. In fact, there's some Supreme Court cases that specifically indicate that there is a definite distinction or difference between a living man or woman, which is an individual, and a corporation. So in order for the government to manipulate you, and the government is a corporation, by the way, the District of Columbia was incorporated in 1871 after the Civil War. And in doing so, in order to control people, they had to be able to control people through a corporation. So that corporation was created when you were born. Now, there's a maxim of law, which is in Latin, it's disparata non debent jungi, and translated to English, that's dissimilar things ought not to be joined. In other words, paper, like that birth certificate and the name on your driver license, is a fiction entity. It is not you. And the birth record that justifies that you popped out of your mom as a living man or woman, that document exists in the record as well. So what we have is a process which we call establishing status and standing. And what has happened is that you've taken on the moniker or the position as your name being that name on the driver license. And that's when Morpheus in the movie says, they've created a prison for your mind in order to turn you into this. And he held up a copper top Duracell battery. We're the energy that makes their system run. Without our signatures on contracts, they are not contracts. And for instance, if you buy a house and you sign the promissory note, that creates a financial instrument. And that financial instrument can be used in banking, etc. And the same thing happens in the court system. The court system we have now is not constitutional. It's operating under what's called Admiralty Maritime law, or the law of the 7 seas, which is ships and cargo. So they've applied that commercial law merchant law to that fiction birth record that you have, and they are controlling us indirectly through the name. It's way out there. It sounds pretty amazing, but it is what it is. And so when we establish the status and standing in the public record, we're actually just correcting a mistake in the public record. So that public record has everything to do with us. That birth record that has the name in all capital letters, we have become the agent or the signatory for it, because a dead legal fiction piece of paper has no 5 senses and it definitely can't sign its name. So we are the agent for that fiction, and they didn't tell us. This is a trick. It's trickery. And they have done it so that whenever we sign our name on certain forms and in court on certain documents, it's creating financial instruments that they trade in the international market. So without us, none of that would work. So the control aspect is that they have control over that all capital letter name fiction entity, but they don't have control over us. Because again, that's paper, which is the corporation, and the government is a corporation, and flesh, which are men and women. So in order for that corporation to control men and women, they tricked us into using that birth record and being the signatory for it. And that's how you, most generally, when something strange happens, you think and go, how can that be? That seems not, it doesn't seem right. It isn't. That's the reason. I mean, your heart is saying that there's a mistake here, but you don't know exactly where the mistake is. So we take it all the way back to the beginning, and we use the evidence of their own records to correct the mistake. They've got you believing that you're that fiction, and all we have to do is use those birth records and correct the record. And we use a process that the court recognizes, and it's called a verified affidavit. And with a verified affidavit, you're actually testifying under oath in front of a notary, and you're stating truth statements. In other words, I was born on a certain day at a certain time in a certain jurisdiction, and the doctor signed the birth record as the witness of the birth, so I am flesh and blood. The government created the other document, which is the all capital letter fiction entity, and you grew up believing that was your identity. So what this is simply a mistake in identity, and because it's about us, we can correct the mistake. So with the truth statements in the affidavit, and then we put the affidavit in the public record, and then we give them 30 days to prove our truth incorrect or wrong. And of course, if we tell the truth, they can't prove us wrong because the evidence is from the record. And we're just saying, well, this is not me, this is actually me. So let's agree to that, and I'm going to go forward as a free man on the land instead of a fiction entity that the government has total control over. So it's a pretty interesting process, and we have classes, and what happens is a lot of people will come to us with pieces of the puzzle. They'll come in and lay all these ideas on the table, and these pieces of the puzzle we can research and see if they fit into our process or not. A lot of times they've been pulled off to the side by some flim-flam people that don't go all the way back to the beginning. My whole mindset on this was that there's got to be a starting point to this. Where is it? So I just rewound back. I used to have a top secret clearance in the military, so I know there's a lot of secrets that are being withheld from the general population. And from your birth, they tricked you into taking the wrong road. Let's say there's a fork in the road. Here's the truth and here's the lies. And they took us down the lie side so they could control us. Not only control us, but profit from our businesses. For instance, if you buy a car and the car is titled in what you think is your name, but you look at the title and you'll find that the name on the title is in all capital letters. That's not your car. That car now belongs to that government trust that they created, the Sestike Vi Constructive Trust. So if they hold the title, they have the collateral. And so a bankrupt corporation doesn't have too much problem getting money to pay its debts when they get us to gift the titles to our purchases to their trust. And of course, they can also tax our cash flow. Look at your checkbook, look at your debit and credit cards. You'll see your name is represented in all capital letters on those documents. So that's not you. That's the government's trust that you're cash flowing through. So they benefit in all aspects. So for instance, you go to court for a speeding ticket or whatever. If you look, you'll find out that they're charging the fiction because the court is a corporation also. It's actually a bank. So when the judge says approach the bench, that means approach the bank, and he's the banker. So he makes the decisions, and you're the one that goes and pays the banker clerk money, and you sign things, and when you do, they can use your signature on those documents as negotiable financial instruments.
They even have a CUSIP number.
Absolutely. They can track those financial instruments anywhere on the planet through any of the financial systems. They know exactly where it is and exactly how much money it's making. So, yes, it's pretty amazing, and it's saddening because if you get your status and standing corrected, you can then go forward and establish a private fiction entity that you created. Because what's happened is they've tricked you into using theirs. So therefore, we're gifting all those assets into that entity. That's collateral to them. they can pledge that collateral to borrow money from the Federal Reserve or whatever they're doing with finances. This is a huge banking system is what it is. And we're the battery that fuels it.
So I think this is really illustrative of what we're trying to focus on at Liberty on the Rocks, Sedona, on November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which is solutions and how to get yourself out of the crooked government system back on the land under the jurisdiction of the land instead of the Admiralty law. We're also going to be having, is there anything else you wanted to say before I close this out?
Well, join. Come and see us.
Come and get solutions.
Yeah,
come and find out how to get yourself out of this system. And so we're going to be focused on solutions, whether that solution is how to correct your status and standing, whether that solution is how to create liberty groups in your town or your city, or find them in Sedona or Arizona or wherever it is, whether it's technology solutions to encrypt your communications and to help organize your friends and your family and your neighbors into freedom cells or freedom groups, whether that solution is whatever Larkin Rose has got cooking. We're going to be discussing it all at Liberty on the Rocks, Sedona, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Friday night at the Desert Rose Retreat Center in Cottonwood. Saturday at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness in Sedona. And then Sunday is a fun day. We're going to be taking people that have never been to Sedona before, or if you're a returning visitor, we're going out on the rocks. We're going to do yoga on the rocks. We're going to have hikes. We're going to show you some of the best food in Sedona at Chocolatery, a vegan cafe. And we're going to be closing it all up that evening with a dinner in Jerome, which is a haunted mining town that literally hangs off a mountain not too far outside of town. And so whether you're attending live or you're watching us through the live stream, you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to learn how to supercharge and activate your liberty group in your city, or find one if you don't have one. Final thing I wanted to say, the website is sedona.artofliberty.org, and I wanted to thank our co-organizers, Humankind and the Sedona Quantum Consciousness Center, for making this event possible. We can't wait to see you next weekend in Sedona. Thank you.